Hi everyone, I hope you're well. We're going to continue in the story of Peter this week. Today, we're going to be looking at how Peter's faith grew and developed over the next few years. A couple of weeks ago, we looked at how Peter tried to protect Jesus and got it wrong in the Garden of Gethsemane when Jesus was arrested. Just before this, Jesus had been explaining to his disciples that he was going to be arrested and put to death. But it was going to be all right because he would rise from the dead again 3 days later. Peter argued with Jesus and told him that he would never let that happen. I guess this is what Peter was trying to do when he cut off the official's ear. Peter told Jesus that he would never leave him or give up on him, even if it meant he himself would be put to death. But Jesus knew that Peter was still learning. And he told Peter that he would actually deny that he knew Jesus 3 times that very night. When Jesus was arrested, Peter followed him to the temple where he'd been taken. It was late in the evening and getting cold, and as Peter entered the temple courtyard, he was asked on 3 separate occasions whether he knew Jesus. Each time, Peter said he didn't know Jesus, with increasing emphasis. And as soon as Peter had denied Jesus for the 3rd time, a cock crowed, and this was the sign that Jesus had said would happen. Peter immediately remembered what Jesus had said and was very upset. He realized that he'd let Jesus down again. He was distraught and collapsed in tears. But Jesus still loved him. And I think this was a bit of a turning point in Peter's life. He realized that he could trust and believe everything that Jesus said and did. He realized that following Jesus was not a part-time occupation, but a way of life. We're now going to jump forward 10 years to the day to see how Peter is getting on. Over the past few years, Peter had been traveling around, telling people about Jesus and spreading the good news. The church was growing all over the region, but Peter was now back in Jerusalem. King Herod was very keen to please the Jewish people and the Romans, so he decided to suppress the church as anti-Jewish and anti-Roman. Herod had James arrested. James was a really good friend of Peter and one of the original 12 disciples. But when Herod had him arrested, he executed him. When he saw that this pleased the Jews and the Romans, Herod decided that he should arrest Peter. It was the anniversary of the Last Supper, and I wonder what Peter was thinking. It was the anniversary of the night of Jesus' arrest, just before his crucifixion. And one of Peter's best friends had just been arrested and martyred. His mind must have been racing, remembering the time that he had denied Jesus before. Peter must have been tempted to do the same again, to resist arrest and to try and save himself. But Peter had learnt a lot over the past 10 years. He'd learnt that it was more important to trust in God and spread the gospel than worry about what would happen to him. So he went with the guards, quietly, calmly, and without any fuss. The rest of the believers in Jerusalem, the church, if you like, prayed earnestly for Peter. But Herod didn't have Peter executed immediately because it was Passover, and he wanted to please the Jewish leaders. So he planned to put Peter in prison until Passover was over, and then try and execute him. He was guarded by 16 soldiers and bound with chains to some of them. This may have been a little bit over the top for one man, but Peter was trusting God. He knew that whatever happened was part of God's plan. If he was rescued, then he would continue to spread the word. But if he wasn't and he died, then he would be with Jesus, and his death would act as a witness to so many. Peter was at peace with the situation, so much so that the night before his trial and impending execution, he was sleeping between two guards while chained to them. And as he was sleeping, an angel appeared and woke him up. When Peter woke up, he found that all his chains had fallen off and all the prison doors were unlocked and open. The angel led Peter out of the prison and into the streets and then disappeared. Peter praised God and returned to the believers to tell them what had happened. Peter's faith had been rewarded. He was no longer the scared, weak individual that had denied Jesus 10 years earlier. But he was now the man of God who had ultimate confidence in what he believed and the God he loved. He was determined to tell everyone he met how they too could have eternal life through belief in Jesus. Now, I wonder, do I have the same confidence? Or am I more concerned about what might happen to me? Thank you.